Congratulations.
Thank you.
My best wishes.
I can't say, because I was going to start it with never in a million years. I say that. It was definitely not the best idea to get married at such a young age. You know, like I'm thinking I know what love is. I don't know. Marrying someone in the military, specifically the Army, the military in general, marrying someone in the military was probably the worst decision I ever made in my whole life. And I say this specifically because this wasn't just no, you know, we got married and that was it. Or like we met, got married. No, this spanned from 2014 up until 2020. So it was about 6 years of bullshit. Legally only married for a year, lived together for a month, and I'll get into that later on. Just a little backstory on how it all even happened. We went to high school together. I had a crush on her, and she didn't want to come out. Like, she didn't want people to know. And not only that, she didn't really like me. Like, she did not like me. Like, when I say I chased her around like a puppy, I chased her around like a puppy. Like, I used to like dream of us being together in the future, like being married and et cetera, et cetera. I devoted a lot of time and emotion into her. So when it came down to it and I graduated, it was some things that happened where we didn't talk anymore. And then while I was at Job Corps, we started talking again, and then she graduated, and then we just started talking more and more. She graduated in 2017, I graduated in 2016. So for about a year, we were going to HCC together, and I keep looking off into the distance because I'm trying to remember this as I go. I was like, I don't want to write anything down. I don't want to look at it. I'm just going to go off of what I remember. We were going to HCC together, and she was the one who encouraged me to, like, you know, go to school and try and make something of yourself. And she was like, you know, really putting herself in her studies and in school. I wasn't. So I really was only doing it for her, or like for her to see that I could be a better person type shit, some stupid shit like that. And during that time, I was living with her on and off until I officially started living with her before I got my own place. And she didn't live with me when I got my own place. Like, she'd come by and visit, but she didn't live with me. Even though she helped me get that place, she didn't live with me. And I think it's because it was a lot of, the energy just wasn't right around that time. Around that time when I did get my own place, I got her on with security. So she was working security with me, but like at different posts and whatnot. So we were just together a lot more, to where how I was for those years of me being like clingy and emotional and just in love in like a very aggressive way, that's how she ended up being. And by that time I was just like, I don't want this shit no more. So she was crying about her failing a class, and her mom was gonna have to come out of pocket and pay it, I guess, or whatever, so she can retake the class. So I kept telling her, instead of you stressing out, just go to the military. Just go to the military. And she just kept saying no, she doesn't want to go. And so I remember that day, she was crying, and I just told her, like, to just hit up Sergeant Smith and tell him, you know, you want to go. She didn't want to, so I did it that same day, because I remember thinking in my head, she gotta go. I can't do this shit. Like, at that time, I was so tired of her. I really wanted her to just permanently go. So I contacted him. He contacted her. She a gullible ass bitch. So you tell her to jump off a bridge, she gonna jump off a bridge. So that's how she ended up in the military. I did cry when she left. I realized that I had made a mistake. And I cried. I was living alone. I had no friends. She was the only friend that I had. She was like my best friend. So anyways, over time, while she was in basic training, she would write me all the time, and I would write her barely. And it's because I started like learning how to live life without her. All I knew was her from the year I moved to Houston up until that point on. And it was just like her, just infatuated with her. And that's fucking it. I just gave myself the ick. In the middle of me living my own life, you know, I started talking to somebody else, and it's a nigga. So, you know, I'm learning how to live and maneuver on my own. It's weird, but you know what I'm saying. And when she came back from basic training, it was in December. It was in December, and we were just like talking, you know, it wasn't anything like serious, not that I can remember. I think we was together. That's sad. Okay, I don't remember that part. I think we were. But then she had to go to the place after basic training. I forgot the name, and I literally just said it she had to be stationed somewhere else, and I noticed a pattern of ways that she was moving. You know, she cut her hair off, she changed her style, so of course I told myself, like, people change over time. Like, I changed. I wasn't the same, you know, person that I was before she left, or even when she came back. Like, I would keep evolving. Like, so I didn't really like too much judge her because of that, but I did notice the change. Like, to myself, I was just like, you know, this is weird, but she's finding herself, I guess. In my head, I wasn't thinking about her talking to other people, because like my love had instantly just snapped back. I wasn't thinking about none of that. And when it's like, when I was with her or I wanted to be with her, it was just her. Like, all I could see was just her. And anybody else in my peripheral was strictly entertainment purposes only. So while she was, you know, in school doing whatever the fuck, I was, you know, living my life. And somewhere in the middle, I remember we stopped talking, but then we started talking again and became an on and off thing. So fast forward, and it's like 2019. Yes, 2019. And I got me a real good job, making real good money, got my own place. And I'm just like content with my life. I was very content with my life. It was going smoothly. It wasn't no extra shit. It wasn't no weird shit. It wasn't no like triggering shit. Like, it was nothing that was holding me back or like emotionally, mentally weighing me down. Because usually it's always something whenever I'm talking to anybody, and it's partially because of me, and then it mostly be them. Just saying. She came back to visit, and like, she'd come back to visit, like, we probably talk, maybe would see each other, I don't know, but we didn't talk like that. We didn't see each other like that. It would be rarely. So I don't know why, but all of a sudden we started talking more. Like, she called me randomly, and it didn't dawn on me that like she just stopped talking. It didn't dawn on me that she had just like stopped talking to somebody or maybe broke up with somebody. I wasn't thinking about that. All I could think was she didn't forget about me. So, like the dummy I was, I, you know, caught feelings back again, and even stronger than I did before, to where I remember like we were on the phone and she just started talking about marriage, and I was just like, I remember saying like, stop playing, you're not about that life, like, you're not really trying to get married. And it was before she even went to the military. I remember she asked me to marry her, and I said no, not yet. I think when we were going to HCC, she asked me, and I was like, I'm not ready yet, because I had already been proposed to. And that guy came from basic training, took a taxi that night, came to my front door, got on one knee, and proposed. And he's in the Marine Corps. So that shows you which one is better. Because she didn't like do no proposal thing. But to me, it was just like more of the gesture, like, oh, she want to get married to me? Me? So through all the chitter and chatter and just talking about it and stuff, she came out to visit me in Houston, and she came to my job where I was, and I remember we were talking, and she was telling me how I could get a job out there in Fort Hood. I almost forgot the name of the place. She told me I could get a job out there in Fort Hood, or, you know, I could just live with her and we get married, and et cetera, et cetera. I kind of remember, or like, I knew that they get paid more when they're married or they have a family or whatever, kids, but I never asked how much. I never looked up how much. I never wanted to know how much. All I knew is that I wanted to be married to her. I want to legally say that this is my wife. That's it. I just wanted it's like branding a cow. It's just like It's like a trademark franchise, and I get to say that because the franchise is for everybody. Point is, yeah, I didn't look at all that extra shit, so I was just like, bet, you know, took the offer, and next thing I know, I'm packing up all my stuff in my apartment. I gave my cats away, and they ended up running away from where they were. And I had those cats for about 3 years, or 2 years before, 3 years. I can't fucking remember. I think 2 years. Either way it go, those cats are my life. I got dogs now. I got 3 dogs and 7 puppies. But I had loved my cats, you know, them was my niggas. But she is allergic to cats. And then she just didn't want the cats living with her in her very first apartment. And so I did end up buying a dog. His name was Weenie, and he was a Dachshund. He was a weenie dog. So, yeah, next thing I know, I'm packing up all my stuff, and she's driving a U-Haul to Killeen. And we are at these poo-poo ass apartments, no furniture. Like, all of my clothes could not fit in that closet. I had so much stuff just like still boxed up and just like trying to fit everywhere. Like, it couldn't. And only reason I'm calling the apartment shitty is because she could have gotten a better place and she just didn't want to. And that's because she was stingy with money. Like, even with herself, or I would say self-disciplined with money. Like, she always said she wanted something better. She wanted something bigger, better than, you know, what she have now, but she wanted to save up for it. So I remember she started putting down money on furniture, like a bed and couches or whatever the fuck. Like, we were going to furniture places and she would put money down for it, and we were picking out beds and stuff together. So it was just weird at that point. From that point on, after that date, which was 2 days after my birthday on September 6th, when we had got married, and then we got this nice hotel. It wasn't that nice, but it was all right. We got this hotel, and it was just so weird. The energy, I could just tell she did not want to be there. It was so weird. It then drank. I don't remember us eating. I don't even remember us talking. Just next thing I know, we waking up, we moving into the apartment, and after that, it was like autopilot. It was like me playing house. And it was one of those moments in life where I was like, I can't believe this is going to be the rest of my life. Like, I hate my life. I hate my life. As far as Fort Hood goes, let me get to that afterwards. So I'm green. I was green as fuck. Like, I didn't know nothing about what people did in the military. I didn't know, you know, all of the commonly known things of what married couples did, or just what people in general did in the military, or just how tight of a pack of a family they are. I heard of it, but, you know, never seen it firsthand and never been through it firsthand to know that when shit get weird out there, like, there's no secrets. So she had this best friend. This guy looked like a guy that she was madly in love with in high school. This dude was tall, tattoos. He looked just like the nigga that she was in love with in high school. But they was best friends. I didn't think nothing of it because she always acted like a tomboy. Even when she used to get her hair and she got her makeup and stuff done for prom or whatever, she still always acted like a tomboy to me. So still, I didn't think nothing of it. Was that like blind love? I don't know how the fuck they say it. So, mind you, you know, at this point, you see her parents versus what she used to look like. And she starts to, so he gets deployed. He gets sent off somewhere. He's not coming back to Fort Hood. That's it. He gone. She like cried that day. Like, at first she didn't cry. I think she just didn't want to not cry in front of me, but like show the emotion of how sad she was. But I could see, and then I could feel it. I could like really feel it. And I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know what to do. And then when she did start crying, like she was like her best friend is gone and stuff like that. And then we started drinking, and then the conversation came up about how they may have fooled around when she was drunk. And then I asked her again, I said, okay, so y'all messed around? And when she realized that, you know, like I'm finna clock that shit, she was, oh, well, maybe I think he was messing around with me while I was asleep. Like my eyelids started to open a little bit more, but not completely, you know, like I started to, but not completely, because everything that she did to me, there was nothing that she could do to me, or, you know, there's no harm that she could do to make me not love her type shit. If she wanted to wear Axe deodorant and wear boxers and dress like a nigga, walk and talk like a nigga, but still eat dick, that's you. That's cool, you know? Wish we had more transparency, but that's cool. You know, wasn't gonna judge her, but gonna judge you now, bitch, because anyways. Yeah. So after that conversation, and stuff was just still getting even more weird. Like I wouldn't really question what she was doing after she was done with work, which they never really did anything. You know how like stuff would change when you're not around somebody 24/7, and then when you get around that person, you start to notice like, this isn't adding up. We were talking a lot more when I wasn't here, and you wasn't doing nothing, and now we're not really talking at all. So, and around that time, like I'm playing housewife. I was supposed to give up smoking, but I wasn't gonna give up fucking smoking. And like I even respected her rule of not wanting to smoke in the apartment just because she didn't want the walls to turn colors and for everything she owned to smell like smoke. Respected that. So I smoked on the porch a lot, even though the porch is a whole bunch of insects outside and shit. And these apartments was like probably almost a 10-minute drive from Fort Hood. You just go straight down a long ass street and you enter through one of the entrances or whatever. So, yeah, I respected her rule of not smoking in the house. And I remember multiple nights, like multiple days, like she'd come home and we wouldn't even like really talk or like say anything to each other. And by nightfall, I'm just laying in the living room on the floor watching TV. And I'm not trying to go in the same room, or I'm not trying to go in. And every time I do that, I feel like that she caught on, or even when we did argue and she'd be like, you coming to bed, or you coming to, and I'd be like, yeah. And I used to just go, and the same thing would repeat. I'm like cooking basic bitch ass shit. I'm, you know, sometimes helping take her uniform out and just keep things in order, the least that I could do, because I wasn't working. Do you know how hard it is to get a job in Killeen? It's not that hard, but I don't want to work none of them jobs. The fuck? Yeah, I didn't want to work none of them jobs. And not only that, I didn't have a car. It was just her car. So sometimes I would drop her off in the morning, and I'm not knowing how to drive on this fucking military hoo-ha, and I'm going up one ways. I'm going the wrong direction, like that thing in the morning where everybody have to stand silent or whatever the fuck. I even seen a pit. No, I'm just playing. It was just weird. That environment was just weird, just getting used to things. It honestly felt like I was back at Job Corps. Job Corps that I went to in San Marcos, it was on a old Air Force military base. So it felt very similar, but also like the things that they had in order, like it felt very similar to Job Corps. And I think that's because Job Corps is also a government funded, whatchamacallit, facility program kind of thing. So I don't know, it just felt weird. I did make a friend out there. It's just weird. I'm not even gonna get into that. Killeen is ghetto. Killeen is just ghetto. Fort Hood is just, I'm finna backtrack. Okay, so I remember one night she had this little get together with her friends, and it was all guys. She didn't invite any girls. I think she invited her best friend at the time, this one girl. But other than that, it was just like guys, and they was all drinking, and I didn't drink. I was outside smoking. And at the time, that guy best friend was still there, because I remember he went outside and he wanted to smoke. Yeah, he did hit the blunt. And even then, the energy was weird. I'm going back and forth. I'm saying as I can remember it. It was just weird. Everything was just fucking weird. Like, the energy was so weird. But I just tried my best to not, like, think too much into it, think too hard into it. I just tried not to, you know, do too much. But as time went on, mind you, y'all, this is probably a month and a half I was there. I moved back to Houston right before Halloween, and I moved out there the weekend after I got married. So it's about a month and a half, I think, if I'm doing that math right. And going towards the middle of it, shit got a little violent. I can't specifically remember why, but it did. And she did the worst thing that she could have ever done. But this wasn't the first time that she was violent with me, though. Like, this wasn't the first physical altercation that we had gotten in. It was probably the worst, though. This bitch picked my whole body up and dropped my ass. She dropped me on the ground. Then we on the second floor. So the people under us or across from us or above us, I don't know, somebody called the popo, and they came, and I was sitting outside at the time, and I'm crying, looking like a battered woman, and telling them, you know, nothing is cool. I didn't know that I could have ruined her whole life right then and there. But still, that wasn't my intent. It was nowhere on my mind. Like, she's still putting her hands on me. She is still abusing me. I need to do something about this. It wasn't. I just told them that it was, you know, verbal altercation is nothing. And then she asked me to come inside, and she asked me what I told them. And I just remember just thinking in my head, like, why are you asking me what I told them instead of asking me, like, am I okay? Like, comfort? Like, no, just trying to make sure I didn't ruin her career. I don't remember what started the argument. I don't know. But around that time, I do remember I started to, like, drink more with her or have a drink with her whenever she would get home from work. And I remember the day that changed everything. It wasn't the pickup body slam drop kick. It was the day she told me that, I'm gonna put it like this. We was drinking, don't remember the whole conversation. All I can remember is asking her, all I remember asking her was, do you even love me? It was something about us being married, like, why did we even get something like that? And she didn't say anything, and she was quiet. And then I asked her, like, do you even love me? And she was just quiet. And I'm just sitting there, and I just start crying. I was like, I gave up everything for you. I gave up everything for you, like my place where I was living, the animals that I treated like my kids, like my sanity, my job. Like, I was just crying, and she was like, no, I do love you. And she tried to take it back when I started saying, I'm just gonna go back home because this is not what I want. Like, my decision was already made up right there. And she kept asking me, like, you know, why don't I, she just kept telling me to stay, or she didn't want me to go. And I'm like, you know, maybe she feels bad, you know, what she said, and that she didn't really mean it. But at the same time, I was bored as fuck with life over there. So I feel like I was waiting for any excuse to get out and move around. So her saying that she didn't love me, I didn't think about that until probably some years later, after probably around the time that I got pregnant and she came to see me. Because after that, like, I just didn't think nothing of it. Even when the whole downfall of the marriage came into play. So I remember telling her that I wanted a divorce. Because when I moved back to Houston, it was agreed that she give me $200. I don't remember asking her how much she was making. I don't remember asking how much that she could give me. I just remember asking her, can you give me just $200 every month to put towards my bills? And that was the agreement. Somewhere in between that, I wanted a divorce because I moved to Houston and I started talking to people, and I knew it wasn't going to be anything serious, but it was weird. I'm like, I was 22 at the time, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm married. Like, what was I on? I wanted to get married young, but you know, it's different wanting it and it's different going through it. So I just didn't want to feel like I was like legally bound. I didn't want that trademark. I didn't want that title no more. I didn't want to be a part of that franchise. So she refused to give me a divorce, and she ignored me, ignored my calls, blocked me, and didn't send me my cash money. She just blocked me out completely. So I didn't know anybody she was associated with out there. I didn't have a car, and even if I did, I wasn't gonna drive out there. But at the end of the day, I'm one of them females that's gonna find out. I'm gonna find out any type of information that I want to find. And I found it out. I found her sergeant, commander, whatever, Obama, Barack, whatever the fuck the title is. I found all them niggas, and I messaged them and I told them what's going on, that she was denying me a divorce, that she wasn't giving me any money, and that wasn't, the money wasn't the big thing for me, but it was the principle of you blocking me over $200, and then it wasn't even the $200. I didn't know what she was doing out there in Fort Hood. I didn't know that she had gotten a house, gotten a motorcycle, gotten another car, gotten in a whole new relationship. And with all of this extra money that she's getting from her being legally married in the Army, she's benefiting off of this. So at the time, of course I was hurt. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, and a lot of stuff was happening in between that, but just sticking into this right now. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, it ain't even gotta be this way, but it was. So I told on her, and she was mad at me because they got on her, and the divorce was finalized and processed, I think, in October of 2020, a year later. So a little over a year, but a year later than when we originally got married. And I had missed the court date. I missed the court date because I was in Cali around the time of the court date. But even whether I showed up or not, it still would have been done. So it was done and over with. But I still was going off on her, calling her a bitch because you couldn't give me $200, bitch. Fast forward just a little bit more on, and we're talking on and off. This was after some time. Like, she randomly called me, and I found out who she was dating, and it was a female who in high school, she told me that she didn't like, or not to worry about, or that the girl wasn't sleeping over at her house, or this picture isn't what it looked like. She was dating this girl. So every time after her and the girl would like get into it or something, she would call me, she would text me, all this extra shit. So she called me and we started talking for a little bit, and And then we weren't talking anymore. I forgot what happened or what triggered what or what did what. I can't remember. I can't remember specifically. But all I know is in 2021, January of 2021, her and her cousin was trying to kick my door down. They were beating at my door. I was asleep. I had a visitor. I was drunk. I was out of there. The visitor woke me up and was like, somebody's beating at your door. Look at my phone. I got a whole bunch of missed calls, missed text messages. And she's calling, and then I answer, and she's like going off, and she like pretty much saying, bring your scary ass outside, and my cousin gonna beat your ass and all this other stuff. I said, oh, the cousin with the big ass birthmark on the side of her face, because she got this big ass hairy ass mole on the side of her face. And so I was being kind by saying birthmark. But because apparently the cousin was living with her in that house in Fort Hood, and because she was now divorced, she wasn't getting that extra money anymore. That's what happened. She was mad, something was said, something was done, I can't remember, but that's pretty much what the gist of it was. And she had remembered where my new apartment was, because when she came with her cousin, she had to have like really good memory as to where that apartment was, because I didn't give her the address. I had took us to my apartment. But so I know she did some real hard soul searching to find my place and beat at my door at 12 o'clock in the morning. And my guest, at the same time he woke me up, he was like, I'm finna go. And I was like, okay. Because after we had got off the phone and she was telling me to come outside and her cousin and X, Y, and Z. Yeah, so the point is, it's just not worth it. I've heard a lot of different stories of people who get married in the military, whether it's at a young age or it's later on in life. I can't testify to those stories, only to mine, and it didn't end well. There's still people, you know, who are together, the significant other in the military. It's not like that for everybody. But as far as my experience to this certain female who should be dissolved in battery acid and ran over by a 18-wheeler, this was my experience. She did me dirty. Like, I really had to wake up and see a lot of things that I didn't see before. Which a big lesson was, people are not who they appear to be. No matter how much you love them or how much you think they love you, they are not. They are not good people. Do not underestimate the people. Do not underestimate the people in your life that you love so much and feel like they can't harm a fly. As far as all of the other surrounding topics, I'm gonna make more little story times involving that, but this already was like a tough thought process. But to summarize it, where I lived in Killeen, it was terrible. Fort Hood, just the people that I encountered were terrible, very unprofessional. The city itself, terrible, just very, very unsanitary and ghetto. As far as marriage, I do still believe in marriage, and not letting it stop me from continuing to find the person that I do want to spend the rest of my life with. So, with that being said, think about the decision. Military wives, not military wives. Think about the decision before you do it. Like, no matter how much you think you've been knowing the person, 10 years, 3 years, 20 years. And I'm also not going to be a dick and be like, don't marry anybody in the military. And then don't, I don't know. Just keep your eyes peeled, because my eyelids were like glued the fuck shut. I only saw what I wanted to see. So, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for tuning in. You know, the very few people on my channel who will or who may search this specific topic up. Any more questions or whatever else, just put it in the comments. I wish YouTube had DMs, because I don't like comments sometimes. I be having to turn them off. Do I wish that we would have waited? No. Like, Yeah, growth is a thing in life, but sometimes two people are not meant to be together specifically. Like we forced it forcefully. I forced it because I knew she didn't want to be with me, and she forced it because she knew she didn't 100% want to be with me. So just very young, dumb, and broke things. She wasn't broke. But regret it till this day. But you live, learn, and then at the end, fake smile. But yeah, at the end you laugh, and it's something I can laugh about now. Think twice. Think twice and think twice. Don't make the same mistakes a lot of other people make just because the grass seems greener on the other side. Stay tuned for more updates, and I'll see y'all in the next one.